Yes.
Illustrations by Pete.
So I hate when you get those, I don't understand why people do these videos. Is this product still good this year? It came out last year. Is it still good this year? Now this isn't the case here. This paper came out quite a while ago. But it's paper. It's watercolor paper. It's high quality, professional grade watercolor paper. Does it still work this year? If it worked the year it came out and I could put paint on it and I could draw on it, then it's gonna work this year. Why are these videos even a thing when people, I got this new camera, it came out last year. Is it still good this year? Yes. If it clicks and takes pictures and you can hit record, it's still good. This pen, I got this pen 5 years ago. Is it still good this year? Yes, it's still a pen. It still writes just like it did then. If it was good then, it's still good now. Technology does not go that quick. It used to, maybe. It used to be like a toddler. You didn't know, you'd look over here and it would be over there and you had no idea what was happening. Now, nothing progresses that quickly anymore. It's very slow now. If something was good 5 years ago, it's probably okay this year. And personal experience, just about everything I have that I had 10 years ago, I can still use today. It's not, some of those things are 10 years old, and I use them all the time. It's not a problem. Even pens, most of the time you store them right, they don't dry out for years and years. You can still use everything, and if you buy it new, it works like it's new. It's like magic. So today we're going to go over the Canson Heritage paper. The Canson Heritage paper, L'Aquarelle Canson Heritage. It's the Canson Heritage paper. We're going to use the rough grain here. They call it rough grain. It's rough press paper. 300-pound paper. I love 300-pound paper, and I love rough paper for watercolor. Here's a little hint. When you get these, they come in sample packs. When you see the name here, don't paint on this side. It's not designed for that. If you do that, it will have no properties of watercolor paper. You'll get where blooms happen, just ugly, and things are not working right. You go to the back side. That's where you do the painting. That's what you're supposed to do. A lot of people don't know that. If you get these packages and you try this, you're like, oh, this paper sucks. Flip it over. Try the other side. Sometimes you're not on the right side. Some papers, you're supposed to paint on the side with the printing, but they try to give you the full sample. So they print on the back, and then you paint on the other side. I'm not flipping it over because I've already done that, and it's going to be a surprise for you. If you don't see it in the thumbnail, I might do something very dumb and put it in the thumbnail, and then you'll see it anyway. So this video is very hard to edit. I did it wrong again. I'm still playing with settings up here, and I put it to 4K 10-bit just to see what it's like on the Olympus system. And I could do it. I found out what the problem is with my computer. I don't have enough RAM. I just have to beef that up a little bit. Everything else will work perfectly to edit the 4K files. But this one did not go. It took forever to edit. I mean, if I recorded for an hour, it took 3 hours to edit this. It was terrible. But don't worry. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep trying stuff because that's what I do. I like to... Things go smooth. I know exactly how they're supposed to work, and I throw a wrench in that and I say, screw you, Pete. You're going to have to try and do this now. And it messes everything up. Don't worry about it. We're going to be fine. I'll get through this. I like to do that to myself. But I really think, and I'm not saying this, I really think for art, top down, not for the human face, you don't need to see more detail here. This is only 1080. It's still 10-bit. I like the color grading for 10-bit. I don't know why. I thought I hated it. I didn't like it. Now I do on this system. So, but the 4K, for top-down video, you want to see the details in the art. Not here. We're not trying to do that. I want to blur this a little bit so you don't see all of it. But when you're looking at the art, I want you to see the detail, and that 4K, just recording it in 4K, even if I don't render it that way, it just records so much more detail. And I think it helps. I think it helps the video. You could see a little bit better. So it's just what I'm thinking. I know you're looking at this on a phone, all 46 dots on your phone, but at least if I record it in 4K, the detail, even when it crunches down to all the nonsense, it still shows the detail a little bit. And when I punch in a little bit, you can still see detail. It doesn't fall apart. So I'm going to try to get there. I've got to save up some money and get that RAM and put it in the computer. It's not a whole lot of money. I just don't have anything else to sell. I've sold everything else that I have to get this camera, which I like. The Olympus, the OM1. I love it. But, so I've got to save up for that, but I'm going to do that so that you can get some a little bit higher quality viewing and you can see some more details. Not that it's so in depth, but don't worry about it. We're gonna take care of everything here. All right, let's finally get into it. So like I said, you want to make sure whatever the writing is, you flip that page over and use the back side. That's the page, or that's the side rather, that's intended for you to paint on. And I got this a long time ago. I don't know why I never used it. I was dying to try this paper. I completely forgot about it. Went through my shelf a little bit, found it. I was so excited. I figured I had to make a video right away to show this paper off because I absolutely love it. I love rough paper for watercolor. And the thing is, with the pen, it actually worked. It went great. It just worked so well. It's a little bit soft, so if you push too hard on the pen, you can dent it. But when you're just putting it over watercolor, it's no big deal. You can just apply a lighter hand, which I have a very hard time with. I have a very heavy hand when it comes to ink, but it works so nicely. Now, one thing I will say about this, the watercolor dried a little bit slower on this paper than I'm used to it drying, especially for 300-pound paper. 300-pound paper usually absorbs just everything. You have to put more water on it and more stuff. This one was not as thirsty as I have seen many different 300-pound watercolor papers. However, I did notice that it didn't bend, buckle, warp, anything no matter what I was doing to it, which is great. I do love that about the 300-pound paper. Now, when I use this paper, I'm gonna try to put as much water as I can on it, move things around a little bit. And you'll see here while I'm putting down the paint, I touch the other colors and it just immediately bleeds into it because it dries a lot slower. It doesn't suck it in. The sizing on here is very unique. And I love this paper. I'm gonna use probably a ton of this. I'm gonna get a pad of this, turn it into a book or something and use it. I absolutely love it. The thing that I like about the rough press paper is you can get some texture on it. So when you're going, and you'll see here, even when the colors blend, they blend in a very rough way. It's not a smooth gradation from one color to the other. Not that I was trying to do that. I wasn't. I was just trying to put the colors next to each other and they blended. But it's very jagged, which gives me plenty of options to put some lines. It becomes a place where, hey, if I want to add some ink, that's the perfect spot to do it. And you'll see me do that here. I do that through the whole thing. And then in the end, I didn't want to leave the white area white, so I added different patterns to each section of the white areas that I left open. I enjoyed how this came out. I could have done a lot more pen work if I wanted to. But I was done, and I just said, okay, I'm going to stop. Sometimes you need to know when to do that. So it's important. So that's what I did. I just said, I'm going to stop, and I did. Now, I am one of those people that I know I'm looking for flaws in products that I'm using. That's always what I'm doing. I'm going to use it and say what sucks about this paper. But honestly, with watercolor paper, only with watercolor paper, this is the way I look at things. It just has a property. That's it. It's not that it is good or bad. It's whether it's good or bad for me. And I know, like, the Fluid 100 watercolor paper is great watercolor paper, but some people don't like it because it doesn't lift as well. But a lot of artists do like it because it doesn't lift as well. It's what you do in your process will determine whether you like something. That's why I don't like reviews of paper or things like that on YouTube, because they say, oh, this paper's no good, look, it doesn't lift. What if you don't want it to lift? There are botanical artists that they want to put, sometimes they put the detail down first and then they go over it with the wash, and they don't want the details to move. They just want the wash to go over it. And so for them, that Fluid 100 watercolor paper is perfect. That's the best watercolor paper. Then you have people that want to lift. Everything is lifting. They like to do a lot of highlights and lift and lift and lift. And that's what they do. So they wouldn't like that paper. They may use something else like the Legion hot press or cold press watercolor paper. That lifts very well. Or they might like the Arches or something like that. That lifts very well. But then those other artists who don't want it to lift think that those papers suck. So it's not about what paper sucks or what paper is not good. This paper is good, and it holds the watercolor. That's the most important thing. It doesn't show the watercolor bright and vibrant. Yes. Okay, that's number one. Can I paint on it? Yes. Does it warp and distort? No. So that makes it good. Is it 100% cotton? Is it going to last a long time? Yes. That's what makes it good. How it works with the paint is just your taste. That's your style. So for you to listen to someone say, oh, this is good paper, this is bad paper, unless they're doing some very objective testing like what I was just talking about, if the colors are not vibrant or that kind of thing, unless they're doing that, don't listen to them. Get the paper and try it. Almost every paper that I know has some kind of sample pack that you can try, or at least a cheaper version of that paper, a cheaper pack of that paper. Like the Arches, you don't have to get the block, get the pad. It's like $10, $15 cheaper, and it's the same paper. I know people say, oh, it's not the same paper. Yes, it is the same paper. It's the exact same paper. They just don't glue it. That's the only difference. So make up your own mind about these things. Get a sample and just try it out and see if you like it. A lot of companies like this, the Canson Heritage, this was a sample pack. I don't even remember. I'm really not sure, so I'm not trying to pull one over on anyone. But I got this years ago. I believe it was free. I think it was. Matter of fact, I actually entered a small contest, I think, and won like a 10-pack of their cold press paper. But this was separate. I think this came because I just asked for it. I contacted them and said, do you have a sample pack? And they said, sure, we'll send you a sample pack. I wasn't on YouTube. I was not an influencer or whatever the hell they call these things. I was just an artist, and I called them and said, look, I like your paper. I like Canson paper. I'd like to try this. They sent it to me. It was a sample pack, and it was amazing paper. I never tried it. I tried the other one that I won, but I didn't try this. And I'm shocked because I really wanted to try this 300-pound paper, this rough press. I wanted to try it for so long. I will definitely get a pad of this. For me, this paper worked amazingly well. I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I'm going to use this a lot more in the future. If you would, please just let me know, is there a type of paper that you like, or just any art supply? Is there any art supply that you like that other people don't like? Because for me, there's papers. I like that Fluid 100. I use it for things. As long as I keep in mind the property of the paper and what it does, I'm going to use it that way. That's just wonderful for me. I enjoy doing that. But water pens, these water brushes, people hate these things. They absolutely hate them. They don't know how to use them, or they just think that they're not real. I've actually been... I will go into that in another video. People have said I'm not a real watercolorist. I don't know the struggle of water because I use these stupid pens. But let me tell you, these brush pens are amazing for this kind of work. I use brushes when I just sit and do this by myself. I use brushes and I have water everywhere. But when I'm going to do this on my desk that I like to keep a little bit nicer, and I don't want to have spills everywhere and destroy everything, I use these because they're more controllable. And I use them when I go sit on the couch and paint, or when I go outside and paint. There's just things, they're easy to use and I enjoy them. And because I've used them so much, I'm very comfortable with them. I'm very comfortable with how they work. So it's just, that doesn't make you not a real, it doesn't matter. Anyway, just let me know, what is it that you like to use that everybody else doesn't seem to either know how to use it or they don't like or whatever? Have you ever had that kind of experience? Because I have that on a regular basis. Most of the stuff that I like, nobody else likes. That's just how this works for me. And I don't know about you, but whenever someone tells me in any kind of review that this thing sucks, it's terrible, the first thing I want to do is try it. It's just like when people say, hey, never do this when you draw, or never do this when you paint. It's the first thing I want to go try, because I don't understand. What do you mean never do that? I've never heard that of like a rule with art. There's no such thing as never do this with art. If you tell me don't stick a fork in a light socket, I will believe you and I will not do that. But this is art we're talking about. This is all, everything about this is imaginary. Everything. So who's to say that my imaginary world can't do this? And I'm just saying, as soon as you say that, I want to go do that. Maybe it's there's a part of that teenage rebellion still alive in my mind, and as, oh, you tell me I can't do it, I'm going to prove you wrong. But I think everyone has that naturally. That's not a teenage thing. That's just when it comes into play. Just when you get older, usually you're in better control of it. But you still have it. It's just a part of being a person. So, but I all the time when people are like, oh, don't ever draw this like this. This is the first thing I want to do. I want to try drawing it like that, even if I never have before, because I want to see what you're complaining about. I want to see, maybe it works better for me. And that usually is the case with almost everything in my life. People say, oh, you never want to try doing this with art. Oh, well, if I do it, then it works better for me. So that's just how it is. So thumbs up the video if every time someone tells you not to do something, it's the first thing you want to try and do, especially with art. That's where it really kicks in with me. Not in everything in my life, just with art. I have to try it at that point. It's a, don't ever try doing this with your brush. And I'm going to do it immediately. Even if I ruin the brush and I have to throw it out. I have to try it. Because it could work better for me. And you could be a moron. But that's just my opinion. That's just how it could be. So, that's about it for me. I'm going to go. And I'll see you in the next one.